So now we will talk about configuring interfaces in the FortiGate. We will try to understand what are the different interfaces that we see in the FortiGate. And we see that what are the parameters that we can configure and how do we test those details and how do you see these details both in the CLI as well as the GUI. Okay. So now when you log into any FortiGate, we can see a lot of interfaces there, correct? So in this FortiGate, which is the KVM based, it supports up to 24 interfaces, but we can see here only few interfaces I'm using it. So in this lab environment, I've just taken only 8 interfaces.
Three the active. Yeah, eight.
Yeah.
Eight
Okay.
interface total.
Correct. If you want to take up to 24, it is allowed. Okay. So now by looking at the status of these interfaces, what you can understand, right? So when you move the cursor here to the interface 1, which is port 1, we can see the speed, which is bandwidth. We can see the duplex method, right? Earlier, like we have like different duplex, right? Like, half duplex and full duplex, correct? For the Ethernet interfaces. So here it is by default with a full duplex. And we can see the IP details that are configured. And last point is this interface is part of security fabric connection? Okay. When you have security fabric configured, then we can see that if it is having part of that one. Okay. That's one thing. Now you can see here the status is green. And especially if you see the link as up arrow, up green arrow, correct? So this is how we can see the status of the interfaces. So now if you look at this port 1, 2, 3, so we can see the details and the interface is green, it is up. But when you see port number 4, it is showing with red, means no physical connectivity, link is down, right? The interface is not up. Okay. And if you look at these interfaces, those are not configured at all. That's one thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what kind of interfaces that we can see here? There are variety of interfaces in the FortiGate. When you go to interface, when you want to create an interface, here we can see there's something called type of interface. VLAN interface, loopback interface, redundant interface, software switch, right? Multiple things, and aggregate interface. So it all depends on multiple requirements. Okay.
Yeah.
So I will take you with some of the good examples here, right? So we will create one of the interface as a VLAN interface, and we work on some configuration aspects. So when I go to the interfaces here, there are a few things that we need to understand here. Here we can see the interfaces based on the the group or the type. We can group the interfaces here. So all the physical interfaces are grouped together: tunnel interfaces, VLAN interfaces, aggregate interfaces, etc. That's what we can see here. Okay, it is group by type, group by role, group by status, group by zone, and no grouping. Okay, just remember this one. That's one thing. Now, what are the details that we can see for every interface, right? So here there are columns. This is called column headers, right? We can see name, type, members, IP, admin access, all these things, right? And these are all customizable options. Okay. So whatever it displays here, you see like DHCP clients. If you feel that you don't need this option, we can take it out. And if you wanted to move these options, the column positions, we can change that.
Yeah.
Okay. So here, as soon as you move the cursor here, we can see there is a settings option here, configure table.
Yeah.
Click here. You can see multiple other options here, multiple columns. We can, uncheck or check the columns. So I wanted to see that link status as another column. We can do that. I wanted to see VLAN ID as another column. We can do that. But I don't want a DHCP clients. I don't want so-called members. I don't want any other thing, right? So we can uncheck. So we can apply. So we can see here the link status here. Okay.
Yeah.
So up here is down, down. Okay. It's easy for you. So it is all the customization based on your requirement that you can do it. Okay. So now I want to place this one here. Okay. Right. I can move on. So we can move these, columns. Okay. So that's how we can work on. I wanted to place VLAN ID here just for me, right? If I need to know that if there are any VLANs associated with these ports, we can do that, right? So this is how we can do the customization. Now, when you go to any interface statistics, the very first thing is the name of the interface. Then this is the description of the interface, right? As we say, alias. Then what type of interface is this? Is it a physical interface or a VLAN interface or a loopback interface? That we can see here. And if you have that VRF implemented, and if you wanted to associate this interface with the VRF ID, we can do that one here.
Yeah.
And now in the FortiGate, any interface that you create here or the existing interfaces, we can assign a predefined roles. So by default, it is undefined, but we have some roles that are defined as LAN or LAN, WAN, and DMZ. We can see that LAN, WAN, and DMZ. So how does this help? Example, if we go to our lab setup here, if we see here in the lab, the port 3 here, it is connected to my LAN. And port number 1, it is connected to the ISP as it is the WAN. And in case if you have a DMZ setup, if one of the interface is connected to the DMZ, you can select that role as a DMZ. So how does it difference, okay, based on LAN or WAN or DMZ? There are some basic parameters or some settings which will be applied by default with those type actually, okay? And FortiGate can easily understand that, is it a local interface, means internal or external network, etc. Okay. So you can clearly define the role. So now if you wanted to say that port number 1 here in our case is connected to the ISP, I can define it as WAN. Okay. As soon as I select it as WAN, there are some few parameters, right? We can configure like estimated bandwidth, like upstream bandwidth, downstream bandwidth. In case if you want to put a limit here, you can do that. Okay.
Yeah.
And some changes here, right? So now if I select it as the LAN, I can see some of the options here, right? So that's how we can do that. So we need to be aware of this one. And the most important thing when you're talking about any interface here, it must be configured with an IP address for the interface to function, for the interface to communicate in the network, right? And we can see there's an IP address assigned. We can assign an IP address to the interface in one of the two ways. Example, when I go to port number 3, there's a port number 3 physical interface. We can assign IP address in a manual way, right? Or in case if you are in a DHCP environment, you can say that get the IP address from the DHCP. Okay, but there must be a DHCP server who can serve the IP address for the port number 3. So that's the same thing we have done for the port number 1. We configured at the default, it is configured as DHCP. So in our lab environment, there is a DHCP server, that's a broadband router. Since this is connected to that network, the port number 1 has received an IP address from the DHCP server. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can see that, the expiry of the DHCP IP address, and along with the DHCP IP address, it has given that DNS address and the gateway, etc. We can see that. Now we will see that, how to configure the manual IP address, and we have a, lab demonstration on that one. So another thing here is for every interface, what we can see here is administrative access. So what does this administrative access? So as an administrator, we need to log into the FortiGate. So we can log into the FortiGate in multiple ways. One thing, we can directly go to the FortiGate physically. We can connect the console cable and gain access to the CLI. That's one thing. But we cannot do that every time. When you're doing a remote administration, when you want to connect to the FortiGate remotely, then we can do SSH or Telnet, or you can use, the GUI based access like HTTP, HTTPS, right? So in case if you wanted to use the IP address that is assigned to port number 1 to connect to the FortiGate, right? So on the same port number 1, there should be administrative access allowed. In case if you don't allow administrative access, then it will not allow you the connection. Okay. So these are the administrative access that are allowed. One is a secure GUI connection, HTTP connection, secure CLI connection, and we have ping. In the sense, if I wanted to test the connectivity to the FortiGate, the ping should be enabled. If you don't enable, then it will not respond to the ping. Okay. Then if you are managing the FortiGate centrally through the Forti manager, then FMG access should be enabled. Or else you cannot manage the FortiGate from the Forti manager. Okay. So if this interface to be part of security fabric, this option should be enabled.
Yeah,
okay.
correct.
So like this, multiple options, we can see that.
Yeah.
And when you're looking into this information in the GUI, the most important thing, if you wanted to disable the interface or enable the interface, here we have the status. So currently it is enabled. In case if you want to disable, you can disable it. Okay.
Yeah.
So we can do that. So this is the basic administration that we do on a interface.
Got it.
Okay. So that we need to be aware. Good. So now let's do a small exercise here, and we will see that, how to make VLAN interface, etc. So it's a quick exercise. We understand a lot of things here. I just take this as a, this design or a diagram, to do this lab actually. So we have FortiGate, and here internally, this FortiGate is connected to a switch here, which is a layer 2 switch. And there's a physical connectivity from the switch to the FortiGate. Here it is connecting through port number 3 physically. And here on the switch, it is connecting to port number FA1/0. So this is the connectivity between the FortiGate and the switch. And here internally, I wanted to create two VLANs to say that there are two internal networks, one as the production, another as the development. So for the testing purpose, I just have two clients here. One is part of production, another is part of client. Okay, it's a development. So here for the production network, I'm taking this as a segment 192.168.3.0, and the IP address I'm assigning to the client is 10. For the development, I'm taking the network as 192.168.2.0, and the client IP address is 10. Now, when you are in a multi-VLAN environment, definitely we need to create the VLANs here. I will say here VLAN 3 for this one, okay? And I will say VLAN 2 for this one, okay? We need to create those VLANs in the switch. And when you create the VLANs, then the respective ports should be configured into the VLANs as access ports. So this is a fundamental thing. So we will assign a VLAN membership for the port number FA1/4. And we will assign VLAN membership for port number 1/5. So here it goes with the VLAN 3, here it goes with the VLAN 2. Now, before that, we will be creating VLANs in the switch. Now, when the communication, ultimately what we wanted to test here is, first thing is we need to see that how do you create sub-interfaces, which can be part of multiple VLANs here, the way we create sub-interfaces in the Cisco switches, right? So why we need to create sub-interfaces here? Because if we want to enable the communication between these two VLANs, okay, for both of them to communicate, because these two systems are part of different networks, then we need a router. Okay, routing to be enabled between these two VLANs, okay, between two subnets. So we will be configuring the FortiGate as a router so that the traffic from the VLAN 3 will go here, and the router will route the traffic to the VLAN 2 here. So here, the basic functionality of the firewall here is acting as a router also. But the challenge here is we have only one physical interface, right? Now, if two VLAN information to be communicating through the same physical interface, then it must be a trunk port here, correct? We will make this port as a trunk port, but how the FortiGate will understand two VLAN information? We configure the VLAN sub-interfaces here. And we configure the IP addresses from the respective subnets so that the FortiGate will understand them as two different networks, and it can do the routing functionality. So this is the quick thing we are going to do it. Now, for this reason, what are the steps I need to do here? A very simple thing is, I'm naming two projects as development and production. I'm assigning the VLAN memberships like VLAN 2 and VLAN 3. I have taken the segments for both the VLANs. 2.0 is for VLAN 2, 3.0 is for VLAN 3, and the IP address from these respective subnets will be configured to the one of the subinterface that we create in the FortiGate. Okay, so I will use 2.1 as an IP address for the subinterface that we create for VLAN 2. 3.1 is the subinterface that we create for VLAN 3 in the FortiGate for VLAN 3. So this will be as a default gateway for these systems, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So that's how we do it. So very first thing is we need to assign the IP addresses to the systems from the respective VLANs and the subnets. In the switch, we need to create the VLANs and configure the ports as access and trunk ports. In the FortiGate, we need to create virtual interfaces and assign IP addresses. After that, we need to test the communication and see whether the communication happens or not. If the communication is happening, well and good. If not happening, then we need to see why it is not happening. Okay? This is what we do. It's exactly the same setup I have here, right? So now what we do here is, first we will log into the switch. Let's do the VLAN configuration here. Okay. So now if you say show run, I don't think so any VLAN is here. Any ports, no ports. Okay, no VLAN information configure. Okay. So configure terminal, I say VLAN 2, I name it as development, exit. So we say VLAN 3, I name it as production, I say exit. So two VLANs are created here, okay? So VLAN switch. Now we can see that there are two VLANs created here, okay? VLAN 2 and 3 is created. And we know fundamentally all the ports by default is part of VLAN 1, okay? So here, what are the ports that we're using? FA1/4. Yes, it is part of VLAN 1 as of now. FA1/5 is part of VLAN 1. Okay. So here FA1/0 also part of VLAN 1. So what we need to do, we need to configure the VLAN membership for the ports. So first what we will do, FA1/4, it needs to be part of VLAN 2. That's the VLAN number 2. So how do I do that? Configure terminal interface FA1/4. Okay. Then we say switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 2. I'll say no shutdown. That's okay. So this is how we can configure the VLAN membership. So for another port also, we say that interface FA1/5. So 1/5, I go to the interface, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 3. No shutdown. Anyway, it's already no shutdown. That's okay. Now it is done. So now we can see that show VLAN switch. We can see there are two VLANs created, VLAN 2, and this interface is part of VLAN 2. 1/5 is part of VLAN 3, which is production. Now we need to keep this port as a trunk port, FA1/0. Okay, since it is carrying multiple VLAN information. So configure terminal interface FA1/0. Okay. Now switch port mode or trunk, I'm making it as a trunk port. Now, when you make the port as a trunk port, always we need to configure something called VLAN tagging method or the trunking method. Switch port trunk encapsulation.
.1Q.
We give .1Q. So why we give .1Q? Because it's an open standard. Okay, right? Now the reason here why we need to use open standard, because the switch is from Cisco and the FortiGate is from Fortinet. Correct? Two vendors. Okay. So this is the configuration. We have done it. So now if you see here, show running, we can make sure that these ports are into the respective VLANs and the trunk configuration is done. So now here 1/0, it is trunk port. Okay. 1/4 is part of VLAN 2, 1/5 is part of VLAN 3. That's it. This is the configuration. I need it in the switch. So we are done with that activity. Okay. So here we wanted to do multiple things. This is completed. Correct? This activity is done. So next activity, what we do, we configure the IP address to the systems. But before that, let's do a configuration in the FortiGate. Okay, what we need to do in the FortiGate. So first we log into the FortiGate. So this is the FortiGate address. We can go to the FortiGate. So now what we need to do here is we need to create two sub-interfaces. So one sub-interface is to carry the VLAN information from the development network. Another sub-interface to carry the network VLAN information from the production. So how do I do that? Before that, what we need to understand is how this VLAN information can be carried between the FortiGate and the switch. It is through the port number 3, which is the physical interface. Okay. So that we have to be clear. Now, I can come here, I can create an interface. So what is the interface you are creating? You need to clearly name them actually. Okay. So I say I'm creating an interface for the DevNet like this. So we can name that as a description in Cisco. Here we can say it as an alias. Okay. And we say development, right? For development. So what is the type of interface you want to create? A VLAN type. Okay. That's the reason. By default, it is selected as VLAN. So we can keep it as it is. And the VLAN protocol. So here 802.1q, you must select it as, but there is a one AD also. This is the, what you call the Fortinet proprietary. Okay. We don't select this. Yeah. Right. So we select 802.1q. Now, the most important thing here, whenever you are creating VLAN subinterfaces, is you have to map that one to the right physical interface. So here it is port number 3. We call it as base interface. Okay. So
call us
base interface, BASE.
base interface.
Base interface. Okay. We have to rightly select that. And we are creating development network and we are selecting VLAN protocol and to which VLAN this belongs to. Okay, for development, the VLAN ID is 2. We have to rightly say that VLAN ID here. Okay, and this is the role is LAN because it is connecting to the internal network. Okay, now when you are configuring a subinterface, we know that there must be an IP address configured. Okay, we are assigning that IP address manually, so we select it as a manual. In case if we have a DHCP server, then we can select the DHCP. But generally, we don't maintain DHCP for the FortiGate interfaces, right? Now we wanted to assign an IP address from a network that is assigned to development, which is that 192.168.2.0, and we decided that we want to use the first available address from this network, which is 2.1. Okay, so 192.168.2.1/24. Okay. So you can give it in a slash notation or you can give it in a dotted decimal notation also. Both will be accepted. Okay. Your wish, right? Now, create address object matching subnet. Keep this enabled now. I will explain you what exactly is this. Okay. So this is required when you are creating policies and objects. Okay.
Yeah.
So we will understand this one. So keep it as, I want to check this one. Okay. Now, if you want to allow any access on this particular interface using this IP address, administrative access you want to allow, you can do that. Okay. Now, we are creating the subinterface for the development systems to communicate. Okay. So if you wanted to do a ping from here to the FortiGate, and if the FortiGate needs to allow the ping on this particular subinterface, you must be enabling ping here.
Yeah.
If you don't enable, it will not happen. But we will see that. I'm not allowing it now. Okay. That's okay. Now, here we have a DHCP option. Then there is something called DHCP server here. What is the difference between these two?
That's the static DHCP you're configuring for that specific interface.
Exactly. Now, this option is assigning
You're
IP
taking
address.
direct from the server or from the modem.
Correct. Correct. Our modem in the real time in your network, there may be a DHCP server, and you want to assign IP address to the interface from the DHCP server. Okay.
Yeah.
But what is the DHCP server here? Now, let me explain. Say you are in this network environment and you see like in the development project or VLAN, there are multiple clients here. You want to make the FortiGate as a DHCP server so that it can serve the IP address to these clients.
Yeah.
That's a DHCP server service.
Yeah.
So you're configuring, or means you're enabling and configuring DHCP server service here. Okay. So let me do that. So now for the DHCP client that I have in this network, I wanted to assign IP address from the FortiGate, the DHCP service. So how do I do that? DHCP server. Now there must be a scope configured, the range of IP addresses. The scope will be from the same network. It is starting with the next available address, but I wanted to start from, say, example 10. Okay. And I can go up to, say, 99. That's it.
Yeah.
So now here, when FortiGate is acting as a DHCP server, when it is assigning IP address to the clients, it will start assigning IP address from 10. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and it goes 11, 12 like that. Okay. Depends on how many requests it's accepting.
Yeah.
Now, when it is assigning IP address to the clients, it should assign a subnet mask.
Yeah.
Okay. Along with that, we know the DHCP server can assign other parameters as well, like a default gateway, a DNS address, etc. So now, when this system needs to get a default gateway, what must be the default gateway? It is the interface IP address, right? That's the reason we keep it as a same as interface IP. So what is the interface IP? 192.168.2.1. In case if you have a different address, you want to specify, you can specify.
Yeah.
Your wish. Now, what must be in case if the client needs a DNS server IP, so what must be the DNS server IP? And that you want to serve through the DHCP, we can say the same as system DNS means whatever the DNS address that is used by the FortiGate, it will be same as it is. Or you want to specify anything, we can specify. Same as interface. You want to specify, we can specify. So we will leave it as same as system. Okay. Just that's the option. Now, you want to keep this interface, enable. Okay. I would say okay. Now, we have created a new sub-interface for VLAN 2. That is under port number 3. We can see that information here. So what is this? For development, that's a name. And see, what is the name of the interface? Is it for development or DevNet?
DevNet.
Yes, that needs to be clear, okay? Because in some cases we are confused, we have to use the right interface name, okay? DevNet is the name, okay? Now, what type of interface is this? It is VLAN type. And what is the role of the interface? It is LAN. The IP address, the VLAN ID, and VLAN protocol, which is trunking method. And the information that is carried for VLAN 2 with this sub-interface is through port number 3. That's a physical interface.
Yeah.
Now, if the port number 3 goes down, this also goes down.
Yeah.
Correct? So that's how we see. Now you see the description, name, then the type of the interface, link status up, VLAN ID is there, IP we can see. Now we can see the DHCP range. When you see DHCP ranges means this interface is acting or ready to serve the IP address to the clients, which belongs to VLAN 2. Okay?
Correct. Yeah.
That's how we can set up. Now we have this setup ready. So here, this is the FortiGate. Now we have DHCP client. We have done the VLAN configuration in the switch. Sub-interface for VLAN 2 is created and properly mapped it. We assign the IP address and we enable DHCP also. Now for this client to get an IP address, there is a DHCP server available. So now, how do I say the client to get an IP address? So this is a basic, client software, right?
IP DHCP.
Yeah, IP DHCP. Now, if you say show IP, there will not be any IP address. So in the lab environment, we can say IP DHCP. So now it will initiate with the DORA process. It will send that, discovery offer, right? That standard DHCP client and DHCP communication. So we can clearly say that it is initiating with DORA. Now it has got an IP address from the DHCP server. The first available address from the range is assigned to this one. Now you give show IP, you can find all the details here. So 2.10 is an IP address. 2.1 is the default gateway. The DNS address is similar, exactly the same as the FortiGate DNS. Okay, that's it. Now we are clear. Now, if you notice something here, you just do a refresh. Go to the VLAN interface here. Okay, sorry. Go to the VLAN interface. Now, VLAN ID, everything is fine. Now, this is also fine. In case if you wanted to see that if any DHCP clients are there, take that also. I just see that. DHCP clients, there is one DHCP client. So total 90 IP address available from the scope, DHCP scope. One address is assigned to the client. Okay. In case if you wanted to see the more details about which is that client who has taken IP address from the DHCP, you can go to the dashboard, go to network. There is a DHCP dashboard. So this is nothing but a widget. Okay, the small windows, we call them as widgets for the monitoring information. So we can see that the device with this name assigned with an IP address through this interface is lease out. This is the MAC address of the client and no DHCP reservation done. Host name and the IP address will get expired here. This is the information we can see. So from the DHCP scope that we defined, this client has got an IP address.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's do the test, connectivity test. Okay. I do ping. I wanted to do the connectivity test from the client to the default gateway. Okay. So we are testing the connectivity from the client to the default gateway. So I do ping 192.168.2.1. I will say enter. Now no response.
Yeah.
It could be any problem. It could be a problem with the VLAN details. It could be a problem with the port mapping. It could be a problem with the switch. It can be a problem somewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
But we are sure that there's no problem. We have clearly, properly configured all these things. Now we know the issue where it is. We go to the interfaces.
Distance.
We just go here, double click on this. See the ping is not allowed.
Administrative access, yeah.
Okay, the administrative access is not allowed, even though everything is configured properly. And for the ping to function, FortiGate should accept the ping traffic and this should be enabled. If you don't accept it, even if everything is fine, then ping will not work. But it is only for the ping or it is not going to accept any traffic. It will accept the other traffic.
Yeah.
It is only the ping. Okay.
Correct.
Right? So sometimes this is how we need to see. So now I will say ping, enable, say OK. It starts responding for the ping.
Yeah.
Correct. So now we can say that the connectivity between the Dev client to the FortiGate default gateway, the default gateway,
fine.
It is fine. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. So now another thing that we need to notice here is whenever you configure an IP address to any interface as part of the routing process, the FortiGate acting as a router, it can easily learn about that network. So here, what is the network? 192.168.2.0, right? And it is connected through this VLAN interface. Okay. So in case if you wanted to notice that, go to network. There is something called routing widget. Click here. We can notice that there is a route added 192.168.2.0/24 through this particular interface that we created. We can see the interface details and it is the connected route because it's a directly connected interface. So this is how the routers learn the routing information for the directly connected networks. So as a basic routing activity, even the FortiGate also follows the same thing. FortiGate also acts as a router. It does all the routing functionalities. Okay. So we can notice that the route is added here. Okay. So now the FortiGate knows how 192.168.2.0 can be reached. Okay. Any packet coming to the FortiGate for this address, it will be throwing that information on the DevNet interface. So that's a fundamental thing. So now the similar way, we need to do the configuration for the production VLAN as well. So quickly what we need to do, we can go here, we can go to the interfaces. We need to create another interface, production net or prod net.
Yeah.
For production VLAN interface, same trunking method. It is also using the same physical interface, which is port number 3. But here VLAN ID is 3.
Yeah.
Now, what is the IP address that we should use? It is from the 3.1. 3 network, okay? 3.1.
Yeah.
Go as it is. Now, I'm not going to use DHCP server here. I'm going to create a manual IP, okay, for the system.
Yeah.
I would say, okay. Now, that is done. So now if we go back and notice the information here, just do a refresh. Under port number 3, you see one more subinterface.
Yeah.
Okay. You can see here, VLAN 3.
Yeah.
Subnet 192.168.3.1.
Yeah.
And still ping is not enabled. And DHCP is not configured here, right?
Yeah.
So now if we go to the network here, now another network is added here. In the routing, we can see there's another network, 192.168.3.0.
Yeah.
It is connected through this interface. So FortiGate has one more network now. Okay?
Yeah.
Good. So now we can go to this client, configure an IP address manually here because there's no DHCP for this. And obviously, people think that there's a DHCP server here. Why it is not assigning IP address here? Because it's in two different VLANs.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we will say IP 192.168 3.10 we will use it 255.255.255.0 followed by the default gateway, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now it's checking for the duplicate address and no duplicate found so that it accepted this IP address. Now if we say show IP, we can see that. So now we are not configured any DNS, that's okay. We configure the IP address and the default gateway for this host, right? So if I do a ping 192.168 3.1, I'm pinging to the default gateway.
Yeah.
Obviously, it will not ping. The reason we are not allowed the ping access. Okay. So here we need to allow the ping access, as simple as that. Now it will start ping.
Yeah.
So this is the fundamental concept on setting up the network, setting up the VLANs, right? And giving or enabling ping access so that the FortiGate can respond or forward the ping request. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a fundamental thing. So now we have two different networks here, development network and the production network, part of two different VLANs. Now both are connected to the FortiGate. Okay. Now you think that the communication will happen from the production to the development.
No, we need to configure policy.
Okay, that's correct. In case of FortiGate, we understood that by default, it will not allow any communication between any network. There's an implicit deny. Assume that this is not a FortiGate, this is a Cisco router. Should we need a policy to allow the communication between these two?
Just the IP routing.
IP routing is like directly connected network. So why IP routing is required? Because it already knows the networks.
No, Inter VLAN routing.
Inter VLAN routing. Okay, that's how we do it generally. Yeah.
Yeah, to do yeah.
Good, but in case of FortiGate, FortiGate already knows these networks. Okay, that's what we see in the status, right? Sorry, in the network, the routing information. FortiGate knows that who is 2.0, who is 3.0, how to forward the data.
Yeah,
but the
it's right on
problem
the routing
here,
table.
Okay, it is not a problem with the routing. Okay, now the problem with the policy. Okay, now if you see here, we go to the policies. FortiGate will not allow any traffic because there is a implicit deny.
Implicit deny.
So now let's do one thing. Let's enable logging here. Okay. Now we wanted to test the connectivity. Okay. From development client. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm in the development client. I wanted to test the connectivity to the production client. So this time I will do ping 192.168 3.10. I'm pinging from the development client to the production client. Now what happens? The ping is not happening. So what is the issue? How do I know that? There are multiple ways we can troubleshoot these things. Okay. One of the basic check is since we know the answer, why it is not pinging, we can see that it is hitting the implicit deny. Okay, we can see there's some traffic hitting here and the statement is deny. Since we enable log here, we can see that information in the forward traffic.
For tracking.
So you can see that there is a communication coming from a source 192.168.2.10, which is the development client.
Yeah.
And the destination is 3.10. That is fine. But it's a ping traffic. That's also good. And finally, what is happening? It is denied. Okay, where we can see that it is denied. So there must be a statement. Okay, you can say the interface that is, packet is entering, etc., etc. So this is the log. So
action deny pulse violation.
Exactly. Okay. This is the policy violation. And which policy is blocking that? Policy ID 0. Okay. So the implicit deny policy ID is 0. Okay. We can see that. So multiple packets coming here and the implicit deny is blocking the traffic. So fundamentally, we understood by default, FortiGate will not allow any traffic that is coming or passing through it. Now, we are doing ping from development client. The packet is forwarded to the default gateway since the destination is outside my network and it is trying to reach to the production client. The routing information is there. After routing information passing through it, route lookup is happening. It is successful, but policy is blocking it. Okay. So that's a fundamental thing we need to understand. So what we need it now, we need a policy allowing the communication from the development to the production. Okay. How do we do that? So what we need to do here is we go to policy and objects and we have a detailed discussion on this one. But for now, for testing purpose, I'll just create a policy quickly. Okay. So now we say create policy. So what we wanted to allow, we name the policy as development to production. So what is my incoming interface here? From here, the communication happening to the production. Okay. From development, my incoming interface is development.
Development, yeah.
Okay. And what is my outgoing interface? The production. So
Production.
as a network admin or as a network security admin, you should be knowing this information. You should be clear with that information. Okay.
Yeah.
So, right. And what is my source? It is the DevNet address.
Yeah,
so this is the object that is created when you are creating the, the interface. We will talk about this, what is the use of these objects. And here, when you're creating a policy in the FortiGate, you cannot directly enter the IP addresses and the subnet details. It has to be an address object. Okay, we will understand in detail. Now, what is the destination? Destination is production network.
Production.
And here the schedule we can do. Anyway, we go detailed discussion on this policy. Now I wanted to accept it. That's it. Okay. So any packet coming from DevNet on this interface entering into the FortiGate, it can be forwarded on this interface for a source, for a destination. We say accept it. Means we are creating a policy. And now whenever we create a policy, we can enable the policy of the here. And if you wanted to really test that one, we can enable all sessions. Okay.
Yeah.
If you enable only security events, it will only record the violations.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, for testing purpose, we use all sessions logging, but in real time, never go with all sessions for the regular traffic because it is going to create a huge logs. Okay.
Yeah.
The challenge is you will not have sufficient storage for the logging or logs to store. Okay. So that's fine. We say, okay. Okay, services. What services you want to allow? You say ICMP you want to allow because you are testing, or I'll say all for now.
Yeah.
So now we created a policy on top of implicit deny. We are allowing the communication from the development to the production. So now if you see here, now the continuous ping is going on. You must be able to see some policy, sorry, some traffic is hitting this one. You can see this, right? So hit count is 11, active sessions is 11, and we can see that information. Okay. Now, if you see here, the communication started happening, correct? Again, for a testing purpose, I'm pinging from 192.168.3.10, and we can see the ping response from the production. So that we can verify here through the logs also. So when you go to the logs here, we go to the forward traffic here, we can see that, okay? Just do a refresh. Since it is a virtual machine, right, takes some time, to display here. Since logging is enabled, we can see those logs coming here, okay?
Yeah.
So the last log which was captured this time back, but we will see that. Okay. So we say firewall policy, just double click. We see that, we enabled all sessions, okay?
Yeah.
Right. And if any packet that is allowed through this policy, if you wanted to capture those packets, we can do that capture here. Okay.
Yeah.
Cap it. Okay. We will do that as part of the troubleshooting thing, right?
Yeah.
So go here, forward traffic. You see some traffic being captured here. The result is green tick. Double click here. My source is 2.10 and my destination is 3.10. Okay, and it is entering through the incoming interface, going out with the outgoing interface. It's a ping traffic. Action is accept. And which policy is accepting that? This is the policy name and this is the policy ID. Right? So this is a successful transaction.
Yeah.
We can check that. We can easily verify that information.
Yeah.
So fundamentally what we have done here, we wanted to set up two different networks with two different VLANs. One VLAN for production, one VLAN for development. And whatever we supposed to do, the technical aspects within the LAN, we have done that. Means assigning IP address from the respective subnets for these clients. For testing purpose, one client we assigned IP address through the DHCP and the DHCP server is the FortiGate. We set up that. And we created two VLANs in the switch and we assign the access ports. Okay, we configure the membership for the access ports for the respective VLANs. Since the port number FA1/0 is connecting to the FortiGate and carrying multiple VLAN information, we created that as a trunk port. And in the FortiGate, for FortiGate to understand multi-VLAN traffic, we created sub-interfaces as VLAN interfaces and mapping to port number 3, which is the base interface or a physical interface. And as part of the routing process, the FortiGate has understood the routing information from both the networks. And by default, FortiGate will not allow any traffic from any source to any destination because of the implicit deny. And that's the reason we had to go and create a firewall policy allowing communication between these two subnets.
Yeah.
So that's what we have done. And we are able to communicate from development client to production client that we have done a testing through the ping command.
Yeah.
And we can verify that information through the logs also, since we enable the logs on the firewall policy.
Yeah.
This makes sense?
Yeah. Good.
Okay. Any new learning for you here?
Yeah, good, man. Good.
Okay. Okay. Good. This is the way you can set up multiple networks, correct?
Yeah.
And this is the same way we do it in the real time.
Yeah.
Okay. There may be more VLANs, more subnets.
Yeah.
Okay. And one good thing here is we know how to use FortiGate as a DHCP server.
Correct.
All right. Okay, that's it on this discussion.
Yeah.
If any questions, please let me know.
No, it's good, man.